No, he would do the really nutty stuff.
Like he dressed up as
became his character.
Osama Bin Laden.
Yeah, that's right.
Did you like didn't put your hand up for that one? You were like, I think I'm good.
Well, there's a sensitivity about the ethnicity of these things. Chaz is kind of came from Sicily, which is closer to the Middle East, perhaps. So he was able to pull off the character a bit more. Yeah, a bit more authenticity, perhaps. I don't know.
Yes.
But yeah, no, I was at home writing a sketch about washing powder when that Apec motorcade was shot. So I was very glad not to be there because all the people got charged.
It got dangerous.
So should we explain what the Apec thing is? So Apec, every few years...
And then we'll explain the washing powder sketch.
Yeah, which is much bigger.
It's a funnier sketch, actually.
Apec, every few years, the global leaders of the world meet up in one spot to talk about, I don't know, it's the Illuminati, basically. Important stuff.
I thought it was like the off-the-record 2020 summit.
Yeah, it's kind of, it's just it's really important global political leaders meet up in one spot. So like, it's obviously a security, really, really security big thing because that's, if there's one place you wanted to sneak in and do something crazy, you would want to hit that. What
year was this in?
Yeah, maybe 2007, I think.
And obviously Bin Laden. When did Bin Laden die?
Oh, 2000 and whatever.
Oh, right. So he was still alive. Yeah, okay.
Oh, he's a big celebrity. Well, that was our point, was why have all these world leaders been invited to this but not him? I mean, he thinks he's a world. Why isn't he invited? So we thought, well, perhaps could we get him in somehow?
Yeah. So you guys set up a fake motorcade and your cover was it was Canada, who were not invited to Apec at all, which you would think security would know, right? You think at the very least security would have a list of invited attendees. But that's so Australia, where you guys pull up in this limousine with little Canadian flags on it and the cops just wave you in.
It looked important. It looked like an important car. So it got waved through, But those guys never expected to get waved through, so we didn't even have a script.
That's what's so scary about it, because in the footage there's snipers on the roof and shit like that.
Yeah, we got told off about that on Talkback Radio. What if somebody got sniped? We didn't expect them to let us through. Was the answer?
That's the funniest thing about it.
We had more faith in the security than we should have. Clearly.
Yes, a lot of faith in the security. Yeah. I mean, because we had so many meetings about this thing and how to do it, and there was.
So, what was the original plan? So, you were obviously thinking, you'll get to the gate and then they'll go fuck off.
Yeah, which was most of our pranks. Yeah. So many of our pranks were just, we'll assume we'll turn up there. We'll say something. We'll get our jokes out. To the security guard, and they'll tell us to go away.
And everyone will be like, man, they made such a big statement to the CEO of ANZ. And it's like you're just yelling at the security guard.
Usually, or a receptionist.
Come on.
Or a receptionist, yes. Which is why a lot of us stopped doing those japes, those pranks or stunts or whatever. Because we did in the end feel like, we so rarely got access to the actual people who you wanted to get access to. That was one of the things we started to have doubts about.
But I think that's probably something that you would think, and I think this sometimes when I do stunts where I'm like, I didn't actually get to the guy that owns, Commonwealth Bank, but it's
him.
The actual statement is the piece that you release to the. Like, do you know what I mean?
Yeah, you're still doing the script, and you're still not just sitting here on a couch doing the script. It's still more exciting because you're in the world.
Yeah, like when you're in the world and you're just yelling at some receptionist, it feels a little bit weird and you're not doing anything. But then when you put the piece out and it causes the reaction, I think that's the actual stunt, is when it's released and people see it and react to it, almost.
That's kind of true. Yeah. At least you've done something,
So the washing powder sketch?
Well, the washing powder sketch. That was a pun. At the time, emos were very popular. There was a lot of emos.
I remember this sketch.
Do you remember the emo washing powder sketch?
Yeah.
I was writing that very sketch, which
instead of Omo,
it was a very simple sketch about washing powder made for emo people. To sort of really bring out those blacks, or it was. It was something like that, and rinse the blood out of your clothes after you've self-harmed and all this sort of. It was things like that. I can't remember jokes like that about emos. You know. That's what I was writing. I remember when
That was very 2008. As
well, yeah.
When you get a call saying, "Hey, all of your mates are in prison."
Yes, they've been arrested and charged with all this stuff.
So what was the original stunt for the Apec? You're supposed to roll up, and they say go away, and then what was supposed to happen?
And that was it. And then that was it. And you'd wind down the window, and Osama Bin Laden would complain. Why aren't I allowed in?
Yeah.
And then you'd drive away.
But instead, what happened?
But unexpectedly, the security went, okay, in you go. And so they drove this limo in.
What an embarrassment for Australia.
Well, it wasn't. I think some people were a bit annoyed about the whole thing. Some of the people who ran the security. But Australia liked it. It was one of the ones where the public was on our side, which they weren't always. They were on our side a bit, especially in Sydney. There was a feeling in Sydney at that time where people were annoyed by the heavy-handed security. It was seen as a bit of a nuisance, and
they block off streets and
and who are these people to come here and
ruin my day?
Yeah, exactly.
So you got all the way in, and then you must have, because obviously security's thinking you guys are going to go into the actual building. But you didn't want they all pulled out of that because that's a bit too much.
Oh yeah, Julian was in the car and just said, "All right, you just got to somehow turn around and leave now because
which
we're
again,
not supposed to be in
security
here."
should look at and go, "What are they doing? Why are they turning around? What's happened?"
It's hard to turn a limo around. They have to do this sort of 3-point. I mean, these are long vehicles. So.
In a narrow street surrounded by security and gates and guns, this limo is just doing a 3-point turn, trying to leave Apec for some reason.
Yeah.
And then Chaz just pops out dressed as Osama Bin Laden in the street, and they all get arrested.
Yeah. And then we had the piece, and as well as the washing powder. It was a good episode. We had, I think I can't remember if both ended up in the same app or what, but.
So were there consequences legally? From memory, you guys kind of got off by saying you were just following orders from the police.
I have no idea how the people got off who were charged. We all felt very bad for the people who were charged because they weren't us. It's one thing if you're the writer performers, and we were a team of 5 people who kind of wrote all this stuff. But for the crew to be charged, we felt terrible about it. Luckily, the charges were dropped, and I never followed the ins and outs of exactly why the charges were dropped, but they just were
embarrassing.
And it may have all been too difficult, and after all, I guess maybe the car was waved through. So, did you really do anything wrong?
So if they say come in, you're not exactly trespassing.
Well, no, that's what we're always told.
That would be
in.
That'd be pretty rough. Like, imagine if Luke and I did some kind of jape and then we had to call Keelan and go, "Sorry, you're on a terrorist watch list now. My bad, I know we thought you were just an editor, but you're a terrorist now. Whoops."
Exactly.
That's kind of what he signed up to, though.